Hello, everybody. Sorry, I had some streaming issues. Sort of went away and came back. I hope I'm loud and clear. For those of you who find that my audio and video is really clear, please put it in the comments. Say L and C on the comments so that I know that I'm loud and clear and there are no issues with the streaming service. And those of you who are joining me on LinkedIn and YouTube, thank you very much for joining in and welcome to the session. Today's session, like you can see on the screen today, it's going to be on networking, right? And I know for a fact that when a lot of people that I know, a lot of the leaders that I coach, the moment you say networking, there's a lot of question that comes up. And if you're an introvert, you just want to avoid that entirely, right? And a lot of the people that I coach, the first thing that they ask is, well, what do I do in the networking event, right? So if I'm talking to somebody, if I reach out, what do I talk about? And there are some sections of the people that I know that are worried that they'll end up with more work coming their way because they're talking to senior leaders. They might just throw some work at you, which is very, very unlikely to happen. And if it happens, you should consider yourself lucky, right? And there are quite a few others who are like, what do I talk to the senior leader? What, what do I, what's the conversation I should have to build that network? Right? You don't know what to do. And a lot of that I cover in detail during my 60-day leaderathon, 60-day leadership challenge that I have. There are links in the the show note or in the description for YouTube, and in the comments I'll post those links if you are interested, and you can go and enroll yourself onto it. Um, and we'll give another couple of minutes for people to join in from wherever you are. And for those of you who have just joined in, let me know where you're joining in from, right? And I hope I'm loud and clear. I can see on the dashboard that everything looks good, but just so that I know that people are active, it's good to know that you are posting on the comments. And by the way, folks, if you like this conversation, this topic, please go ahead and like the video so that more it can reach more people and it'll benefit more people. So thank you very much for doing that. Okay, so today's topic, like I said, is on networking. Welcome to everyone joining in on LinkedIn or YouTube. And we are going to get started in just a minute, right? While we let the room fill in, I hope more people can join in. Do me a favor, open up the chat and let me know where you are tuning in from, in a country and the city that you are in from. And and I have a question for you, right? If the word networking makes you want to immediately hide your calendar, drop an I or a 1 on the chat right now. Let's be honest. I just want to see who I'm talking to, and that's it, right? So it gets going. And like I said, the algorithm helps reach more people if you are active on the comment section. And if you like the video on YouTube, please do that so that more people can join into this session. If you are in your mid career as of now, it'll really help. These I'm going to share some really powerful tricks, right? And it's going to help you understand what really networking is, and I will give you some insights that'll hopefully take out some nervousness or an anxiety about networking, because I'm going to simplify this. I'm going to make it easy for you. Yeah. Anyway, so we are about 12 minutes past 7 p.m. IST today. So, but we'll kick off. All right, let's dive in. If you are a quiet, high performing professional, when I say quiet, I mean introverted, I have an excellent news for you tonight, right? The way you have been taught to network is completely wrong. And I know how it is taught. Most likely than not, The whole idea of networking is if you are going into a social event within your work environment, it could be one of those hotel ballrooms, or it could be the happy hour offsite meeting that you are in. You are expected to go reach out, talk, have a small talk, converse, make it interesting. You need to appear interesting. All of that will seem relatively easy for an extroverted person, right? And in that spectrum, extrovert, you know, quite frankly, networking could be challenging even for really high on the extroversion side of the spectrum, right? It is quite challenging because there is a lot of pressure that comes with it. Now, when I say that, you don't have to worry about it, I mean it, right? So I can simplify this networking for you. So when you hear networking, the first picture that comes to your mind is a crowded hotel ballroom, like I said, or a forced happy hour meeting, offsite meeting. And that one incredibly loud colleague who effortlessly works the room, trading business cards left, right, and center, makes it look easy. And you are in this corner thinking, what do I do now? Whom am I supposed to talk to? And what am I supposed to talk to? Right? And we tell ourselves that because we don't have the extroverted charisma, we can't build a powerful network. So we stay at our desk, work harder, and hope that our work, our output will speak for itself, and we get promoted based on just that. Quite frankly, and I've said this in many of my live videos right now, right? It won't work. Your output will not speak for itself. Output, in fact, keeps you employed. That is for sure, Rick, because you are seen as a valued employee. But influence, creating visibility for yourself, that gets you promoted. And here is the secret, right? Let me get the slides moving forward. So here is the secret, right? The secret is that, you know, just output is not going to help, but, you know, uh, when you think about it, and I'll give you this. This is going to, give you some relief from this whole pressure or anxiety about networking. Fact is that trying to be an extrovert or out extrovert an extrovert is a losing game, because for them that is easy, natural, right? For you, it's an area of improvement. So there's nothing you can really do about it. The connections made over small talk at office, off-site meetings, the happy hour catch up that I was talking about, those are shallow meetings. At the executive level, we don't network. Network is not really the key term. That's not really necessary at all. What we do instead is we build strategic alliances. And that's the key word. Remember that. Keep that notepad and pen with you. Write it down. It's strategic alliances that actually works. And tonight I'm going to give you three frameworks to completely rewire how you build alliances. And you're going to learn how to build that massive, executive influence, and all that without draining your social battery. So grab your pen and grab your paper and start to take down notes. So, like I said, output keeps you employed, but influence gets you promoted, right? So, with that, like I said, I'm going to share three shifts. The first one is strategic alliance, right? Second one is asynchronous amplification. I'll give you details on what these are going to be shortly. And then the third one, I call it be the node strategy. Yes, I'll explain each one of them. So let's move on with the first one. The utility beats charisma. That's the first one, right? Create alliances. Don't try and be charismatic, and if you're not, it's okay, it's absolutely fine, right? So stop trying to be interesting, start being useful. That's what this means, right? Start being useful. The traditional networking advice that we have been given, and it tells you to ask executives for a virtual coffee or to pick their brains and catch up and socialize. That's what they say, and you have no idea what to bring up for the conversation. And let me be blunt in at this point, right? Executives, frankly, do not have the time for a virtual coffee. That request actually drains their energy instead of, it's your energy that goes down just thinking about it. But then fact is that executives, senior executives, first of all, they don't have the time, and then most likely they're not. It's going to drain their energy too, because there's going to be a lot of requests that they'll need to push back on. So just the thought of somebody asking could be dreadful for them. So instead of asking for their time, you're going to give them a solution. That's going to change everything. I call this the value add reach out. And I'll give you that, and I'll talk about that with a real life story. Just a few months back, I worked with this brilliant, highly introverted data manager. Let's give her the name Sarah, right? And she wanted to build an alliance with the VP of marketing. But small talk terrified her, like it is with many of us, like introverted people. We don't like small talk. And there are some extroverts who don't like it either, right? You don't know how to go about it. So she noticed that the marketing team was struggling with a data bottleneck she had solved just a few months ago. All she did was she sent a simple 4 sentence email, and it goes something like this, right? It said, "Hey David, I saw your team is spinning up the Q3 integration. We ran into a similar bottleneck last year. I've attached a one pager on exactly how we bypassed it to save you guys some time." Right? No reply needed, just wanted to share this insight with you. Right? So that's basically it. And it's quite simple that way. Now, the point that I'm trying to drive home with that is that utility beats charisma any day. So you don't need to be interesting. You just need to be useful, right? She didn't ask for a favor from the senior VP, right? She didn't do that. All she did was delivered pure value. So stop asking for virtual coffee, summarizing on the screen for you. The value add reach out is what makes the difference. So bring something of value to that person that you want to build that relationship with instead of asking for a favor. And here's the key point, right? Expect zero. Expect nothing in return. You don't need that, right? You're going to have to reach out to as many people as you can in the time that you have, with the talent that you, the strengths that you have, instead of trying to, like I said, out maneuver or out extrovert and extrovert. It's not going to work out, right? So those, if you can relate to this, type value on the comment section, right? Just type value in the chat if you see the difference between asking to pick someone's brain or having that virtual coffee versus handing them a solution. That is how you get remembered, right? That's what they'll remember. And if you're getting value tonight, hit the like button in on YouTube, hit the like button, or use the emoji on LinkedIn, so that it reaches more people, right? The algorithm pushes the video for more people, and hopefully more people can benefit from this. So if you're on it, please hit that like button, give the thumbs up, so it reaches more managers on your feed who need to hear this. So with that, let's move to shift number 2. Shift number 2 is asynchronous amplification, right? What does that mean? Now, if you are an introvert, you know this. Introverts, right, thrive when they have time to think for themselves. Face to face networking drains your battery because it requires real time performance as you are in front of them. So, what if we took the performance out of it, out of the equation entirely, right? So, that's why that live performance that you have to put through, that's what is going to drain your battery, right? So take the performance out of it. The best strategic alliance can be built asynchronously. What does asynchronous mean? You do that through radar strategy. I call this the radar strategy. Your goal is to become a signal booster for other departments. So I'm sure in your work environment, you're probably dealing with multiple teams or departments altogether, right? Depending on how senior your role is. So what I suggest is how you build asynchronous amplification is that you take 5 minutes every Friday or Thursday, doesn't matter, right? To publicly highlight a cross-functional peer, right? It could be, say, the finance team. If the finance team, for example, help you route a difficult budget, right? Don't just say thanks to them in private message. Just don't send to that one analyst in the finance department, send them a thank you note. It's good, but I'll tell you what can make this even better. Drop a note in their cross departmental Slack channel or a Teams channel, and or you can send an email CCing their bosses and simply saying something like massive shout out to the finance team for untangling the Q2 budget routing, right? Now, let me know in the chat or in the comment section, have you ever had another department publicly highlight your work to your boss, right? How did it make you feel? Imagine if you it hasn't ever happened, think about it. If that were to happen, how does that make you feel about that person who wrote that note? The fact is, right, if you do this, it takes zero social energy. But when you become the person who publicly highlights the wins of the other team, those teams will violently advocate for you when it is time for your promotion. When they'll happily advocate for you. They will pull your name out and say amazing things about you in the rooms that you are not in, and that's where promotion decisions are most likely being done, right? So think about it. What is a radar strategy? Is basically becoming a signal booster for other departments, right? That's what you're going to do. And publicly highlight peers wins on your Slack or a Teams channel that you have across multiple departments, or if it is a major department or a project group channel that you might have created, use those to appreciate somebody for a good work that they did. Make sure the bosses, the leaders, the decision makers are on it and they can see you, right? They can see you send that message out. So that could be really, really powerful, right? Or if it is an email, that's fine too, right? Make sure you copy all the relevant people, all the decision makers, senior leaders of that department, the other department, right? Just send them a CC, copy them in those emails so that they are aware of it. And that brings us to shift number 3. What is that? Be the node. Now, in any company, for example, I'm just picking examples of different teams in this case, right? The marketing, if you will know this because marketing team is quite common. A lot of people interact with them. So the marketing team, if you notice, doesn't really talk to the engineering team directly, and the engineering team doesn't talk to the sales team, right? Now, you don't need to be the life of the party to build influence, right? You don't need to be like the center. As soon as you walk in, everybody looks at you. You don't need to build that charisma. Don't fake it, right? You don't have to, be the life of that party anyway, right? That's not necessary for you to build influence. You need, on the other hand, and this is critical, right? This is really, really important. You need to be the bridge between those disconnected islands. So, like I said, the marketing team doesn't speak to the sales team or the engineering team, and the engineering team never speaks to the sales team. There are some mediators in between. You can be that mediator, right? Think of this as an analogy, and you could apply this for any department or teams that you have an influence over. And if you, for example, hear a project manager, right, struggling with a compliance issue, for example, and a legal analyst who solves those exact kind of issues or loves solving those kind of issues, all you have to do is introduce them, right? Send that one email. It could go something like, hey Mark, meet Sarah. Mark is running into that compliance snag we spoke about. I knew you two needed to connect and discuss this, right? Drop that note, step back, leave them, right? They solve the problem, but here is the magic. Both of them now view you as the highly valuable strategic partner for them, right? You just gained a social capital of two different departments simply by curating a connection, and that's powerful. So you don't need to be the life of the party, you just need to be able to connect the dots, right? So who here knows two people in their company right now that should be talking to each other but aren't, right? Now, if you know that, right, type me in the chat right now, right? You have an opportunity tomorrow morning to be that node that I was talking about. So find the structural hole, right? Find that gap, find the area where you can be play a pivotal role for those two departments. And that introduction, right, that you make is going to solve a problem, and that is going to get you influence in two different departments, and everybody's going to love having you as their strategic partner. Yeah. So that takes me to the next section of this conversation. Now, if you enjoyed these three strategies that I spoke to you about, I'd really appreciate if you can give a like on the video so that more it can reach more people. And if you think it can be something that you can apply, you've learned something new today, just put it on the comment, right? Mention what you learned. And if you have questions, like I said, I'll reach to those at the end of the session so that I can try and answer those. And if you feel like there are specific topics that you'd like me to cover in the next week's video live session, let me know. I'll cover those as well, and I'll try and answer the questions today as much as possible. And if I left out any questions, if you're watching this after the live session, if you have questions, I'll try and address them in the next video. Yeah. So let's move on. Like I said, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is the choice that you have. One, the fact is that I speak with hundreds of mid-level leaders and senior leaders, right? A lot of them are just waiting to be noticed, right? Now, do you want to just wait to be noticed, or do you actually want to build that visibility and influence that will get you that promotion that you are really hoping for? You see around you, and there are junior staff that join after you who are getting promoted, and you are wondering to yourself, what are they doing differently, or what are you not doing that you should do, and you need help and you don't know what exactly to do, and that's exactly what I can help you with. Now think about it. Executives, senior leaders, the people who are senior leadership material, right? You can engineer your visibility. That's what is different. The people that got there, and if you notice, and if there are people who have gotten that to that level quite quickly, they engineered their visibility. That's exactly what I did. I was stagnant for a while, right? I for the life of me, I couldn't understand what was missing until I figured this out, right? Everything changed, and my career trajectory just went skyrocketing up. You can do that too. I have spent 20 years, and if I knew all of this, I could have reached my leadership level, the senior leadership level, much earlier. I could have saved about 7 years. I went through all of that so that you don't have to. And that's the reason I'm making these videos, so that you get something out of my experience and you don't have to struggle through it. But here's the difference, right? Waiting for senior leadership to magically notice your hard work is a recipe for career stagnation. The quiet professionals who actually get promoted to the executive suite are the ones who deliberately engineer their visibility through strategic alliances. Now you know how to do that. I've given you 3 tips, but that's not enough. I can guarantee you that. There are many videos out there that you could watch and learn, but applying those on a real life situation is quite different. It's easy for me to say there are 3 tips here on this video, but how do you apply that and make it work for your way of working, your culture that you are part of, right? The environment that you are part of. How do you make that work? Right? Knowing that you need to be helpful over interesting in is the first step. That's what we learned today, right? I told you about the 3 shifts. That's all it does, is helps you know that you need to be interesting. But having the exact script, the confidence, the operating system To execute this consistently is what separates middle managers from director, senior director, global director level leadership. If you are ready to stop hiding behind your laptop, right, and start building an undeniable executive brand without changing your introverted personality or any kind of personality for that matter, it is time to step up. Yeah. And that's why I built the 60-day leadership challenge. I call it a leadathon, right? What we are going to do, what I've done there is that I've stripped away the generic corporate advice and installed the exact step by step framework you need to build influence and manage up or lead up and secure your next promotion. There is a link in the description. If it isn't already there, I'm going to drop that in the first comment under this video on the on whether it is LinkedIn or on YouTube. So here's the thing, right? When you have that link, click on it. Secure the spot in the challenge. Stop dreading networking. Stop dreading building visibility or building influence and start engineering your career. Let's get to work. Now, before I leave, I'm going to look for some questions that might be there and I'll try and address those as much as I can. So, as of now, I don't see any questions yet. But if there are questions, please post those questions. And if you are watching a replay of this live stream, I would really encourage you to give this video a like, share your thoughts on the comment section. Do not hesitate to share your thoughts. And if you have questions, feel free to post those questions so that you know everybody can benefit from that. Now, let's see what we have as of now. Okay, looks like there are no questions. There are a few comments. Thank you, folks, on YouTube and on LinkedIn for being on. It really is encouraging. Helps me make more, want to make more videos like this. I really do appreciate the engagement I'm seeing now. So it's for those of you who are going to be watching this session after it's gone live, I'd really encourage you to start posting those questions and comments in there. Give a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on LinkedIn, and you will see a lot more content. I post every day, almost every day on LinkedIn with really powerful content, and on YouTube pretty much every day there is a reel, or there are twice in the week that I post long form videos. Tuesdays I go live, and Thursdays I'm going to post